Welcome back to B-Side Banter. I'm here with Jakk from A1234. You probably know him from that channel. We were just talking about how sometimes it's funny where you know somebody from a channel, but you don't actually know their name. That was the case here for me. But yeah, I've been following you for a while. Love your content. Just especially love your stuff where you're basically like, hey, this is what this country or this city was listening to at this time. Just really unique music content that I don't see a lot of people doing. So really, really cool stuff. But I'm going to kick it to you. I want you to talk a little bit about your channel, what you do there, and maybe how you got started.
Yeah, sure. So, hello everyone from the B-Side Brigade. I am Jakk. I am the founder, creator, and sole person behind OU1234. Basically, how it all got started was back in, I want to say maybe like 2013 or 2014. Me and an online friend of mine called Alia, we started a Tumblr music page. And we did it just for just a little bit of fun, and because for anyone who doesn't know, I am dyslexic. So going into university in your final year, you have to write a dissertation, and I needed to improve my writing. So we did this blog to help me not only improve my writing, but also to just share our love for music. And we kept that going for 2-3 years before life got in the way for both of us, and it just kind of stopped. Then basically after 5-6 years, I really missed it. So I started up another blog, but spent ages trying to come up with the name. And eventually it came about because I was listening to a Beatles song, and it was specifically, they had a opening. It just went a 1, 2, 3, 4. That was it. I was like, the counting, that makes so much sense. That's perfect. And did the blog for 5 years, just writing consistently. And then what happened is I was watching YouTube, and this guy basically said, this year is the year of the vertical video, 2023, and every year after that will be the same. And I just kind of sat there and was like, ooh, I should probably start doing that now, shouldn't I? So I started doing just a couple of videos at the start. They were really bad quality. It was like a £10 mic that I got off Amazon. Not great. And then none of them really got traction, but they were doing okay and gained me a couple more followers.
Yeah, sure.
Then as I was doing the Hackney Half Marathon, my phone started buzzing consistently with notification after notification. And when you're having headphones on and running in a half marathon, that can be distracting.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, so I had to go into my phone, turn off my notifications, and then once it was all finished, I go in, check my phone, and I'm like, oh, I am going viral on Instagram. And then everything after that just kept snowballing and snowballing into what we have today, really.
Man, that's so crazy. A great problem to have. Distracting during your run, but that's super cool.
Yeah, dude, I was spending the whole time panicking about it because my first entry into videos was on TikTok in 2020. And I remember, I can't remember who it was, but there was an artist getting hate, and I was like, guys, the hate's a bit overdone. It's just not your type of music. And I woke up the next day to about 1,000 comments telling me how horrible of a person I am just for saying, nah, they're not that bad, guys, because they basically just made bad music. There was nothing off about them or anything weird. It was just they make music that you're not into, but it was just a bit too much. Woke up to a lot of hate comments, and I was like, oh no, it's happening again.
Man, yeah, that is definitely the thing about social media. They will speak their mind, hiding behind whatever profile they're on. Yeah, you can get some pretty crazy comments. Are you still doing the blog stuff, or have you pivoted to pretty much only socials and video content?
It's only socials now. I did try at the start, but I kind of basically looked at it as one video. It's kind of eras moving on. Back in the blog era, which is 2000 to maybe 2012, 2014 maybe, that was how you could break an artist so easily. One post could change the world. Everyone knows the Billie Eilish story where she put it on SoundCloud and then Hilly Dilly posted it. And as a result, of, I think, I can't remember the name of the artist, but they remixed it and it got more traction. And then an intern at Hilly Dilly recommended Billy to Darkroom Records at Interscope, and that's how she got signed, and that's how this happened. You could
Yeah.
break an artist like that back in
Hmm.
the day, no worries. Today, social media does play a massive part in it. Like, I did that blog for 5 years. I think I got like some people signed and things like that. But I remember the artist who originally blew up my account, called The Crane, who's Taiwanese. He had, I think, maybe 80,000 monthly listeners when I first found him. The video ended up doing really well, and by a month's time, he had over 500,000 monthly listeners from that one
Wow.
video, and that's more than any blog posted in that 5 year span for an artist's career. And he managed to maintain a huge chunk of that, because I think now he's on like 280,000 consistently, and it hasn't gone down.
Wow. Yeah.
So
Wow.
yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Do you get, in those instances, do you get like those artists reach out to you and be like, "Hey, like this was so cool. Thank you." Or is it
It varies massively. So like some artists, they never see it, and that's
yeah.
calm. I don't like, the thing is, I don't expect anything from the artist. I don't expect them
Mm,
to say anything. But like the Crane, for example, he popped me a DM and just went, "Dude, thank you so much for this," and
mhm.
he sent me one of his vinyl records as a thank you gift.
That's amazing.
And yeah, and other artists have done the same. I've had a few DMs going, "Oh, thanks so much for this. This has really helped," and a
Mhm.
few which have just like left a comment like, I cannot remember her name, but there was a Mexican singer who was the daughter of a really famous male Mexican singer. And I just did one post on it, and she left a comment, which I only found, I think, maybe like a year after I'd posted it,
Mhm.
saying, "Because of this one video, it has become my most popular song. I'm now being invited to go to X, Y, and Z and do all these cool things. And this video has a
Man,
huge part in it." And
that's
like I said, just a
yeah.
comment like that, it's like, that's why you do it, to help them out, to
Mm,
give them a moment in the sun and get them,
yeah.
hopefully, their big break sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. That's super cool. And yeah, that like so valuable to artists. And you like you kind of specialize like I could be wrong in this, but you kind of specialize in just world music in general. Like you don't necessarily niche down into like a region necessarily. And I think again that's another really unique thing that I noticed that I haven't seen a lot of other accounts, at least the ones that I'm familiar with, and it's really cool. So how do you balance that? Like that's so much more music that you are having to like keep your eyes open for.
Yeah, I fully get that. And I think it's just a matter of, after a while, you kind of know certain places where to search, others where to
Mhm,
find it. And sometimes it will just be my followers or people who randomly see a video telling me to go and check out a certain artist,
mm,
and they end up being an incredible artist. I'm like, why have I not heard of them before? Like, one who I really liked, Ana Lua Caiano. Someone just messaged me going, "Hey, you should check out Ana Lua Caiano. She's a fantastic Portuguese artist." And I was like, "Okay, let's have a listen." Listened,
mhm,
fell in love with her music, and that was that. Other times it's like, you go and look at what's on the radio in that country. You can sort of like find little chart metrics. You can find other social media. Like I found, if I, like, for example, go and type in new music in Vietnamese or Spanish or anything like that, you'll get a
mhm,
whole new brand of music on different social medias, YouTube and things like that, that you may not necessarily come off. And otherwise, there's also music curators, tastemaker sites. There's different ways you can find in, and
mhm,
eventually you find something where you're like, "Ooh, that's a gem. I want to do it." And with older music, it's a similar thing. Like I've started diving currently into the African music scene by looking at some of these record labels who are finding these really obscure African musicians who aren't on Spotify, they aren't on Apple Music or anything like
mhm.
that, and just uploading them and getting them into the world again. Like I'm loving that at the moment.
That's crazy. That's yeah, wow. That's like such an interesting thing um to kind of go back and take that part of history that yeah,
Mm.
like it's to some degree is kind of forgotten. Um and I think that that's what's like cool about what you like, kind of the series that you have where you're like, hey, this region, what was on the radio at this time,
Mm,
is that we forget so much music. And not only are you going to other parts of the world, so like for a person like me, I'm like, oh, I would never have known that this artist was popular at this time. So that's
mm,
also cool. But um, even if you focused in on like UK, US, whatever,
mm.
so many artists get forgotten about. So it's really cool that you do that. You must have some pretty cool stories about like some forgotten artists in areas that you were like, whoa, like what happened here? Do you have any of those like stories?
There's there's one that I'm kind of researching right now, but I'm still not like fully ready because there's not a huge amount about him overall, at least from what I could find from English websites. But it's a
Mm,
guy called Johnny Alf, and he is widely, well, not widely, he is kind of known as the creator of bossa nova.
mm,
Before, like, I think it was Sergio Mendes released his debut album
mm,
in 1960s, I believe. 10 years before that, Johnny Alf released what is known as the first bossa nova album, and he's really like overlooked in terms of a lot of things because he was also basically during that time they weren't because bossa nova was seen as during that time period. Sorry, I'm trying to get the words properly.
no, no, you're
Um,
good.
During that time period, bossa nova, when it was originally coming out and becoming popular, was seen by Brazil as their answer to beat music, which is what the Beatles were creating, the backbeat kind of sound.
Mm,
So they were primarily promoting people and showcasing people who they believed would go to that audience and be able to promote it worldwide. And one of those people was obviously Sergio Mendes, maybe Jorge Mendes, people like that. Apologies, there are some people I'm trying to remember and they're just getting
mm.
scrambled in my head.
Yeah, that's
But
fine. That's fine.
people in that world and space, and the reason they got promoted more was because they were more fair skinned, whereas Johnny Alf was a black man. So he didn't get
Mm,
promoted as much. And as a result, he kind of got pushed down compared to the other artists, despite the fact he is technically the person who kind of came up with the genre itself. So he's someone who
mm,
I believe's really overlooked in terms of the Brazilian scene for sure. In terms of like probably someone who more people know because of who he inspired, Escalita, who is a American singer who basically learned rock and roll from Sister Rose Tharp, I believe her name is. It may have just slipped my mind there,
mm,
but he learned rock and roll from her and then applied his own twist to it with these cool wailing sounds and different performative styles that really evoked it at the time. And then he taught it to Little Richard,
mm,
and Little Richard is heavily inspired by Escalita. And if you go back and listen to some of Escalita's music, especially on like, I think it's on Spotify now,
mm.
there is such a comparison between Little Richard and them. But
Yeah,
unfortunately, at that time, you could only have one person doing that, and that was Little Richard. So that's
yeah.
another person who I think is quite interesting.
Yeah, that's so crazy. Um, and I think it just goes to show that like you can't like as much as you want to attribute like so and so to the birth of something, like it just keeps the rabbit hole keeps going deeper and deeper and deeper because like you said, this sister, whatever her name was, inspired like
Rosetta
taught.
Tharp, I got it wrong.
Yeah, yeah, no, you're good. She taught him and then he passed that on to little Richard, and like same with the bossa nova thing, like
Mm,
it's just so interesting. And yeah, it just
yeah,
kind of goes to show that origins of genres and origins of certain music are just a lot messier than you think. Then like,
mm,
hey, so and so birthed this, like
yeah,
James Brown birthed this, or like you said, little Richard birthed this. It's like, no, there's people before, and
mm,
they were being like, he was inspired by these people. Yeah, it's so interesting to do that digging,
yeah.
but I'm sure very difficult. Like, how do you get that information?
It's just pure chance sometimes, I'll be honest with you. Like, I go down a rabbit hole and then I'll
Mm,
read one little thing. I'm like, ooh, that's interesting. I
mm,
wonder what more there is to that, and then I'll just keep going and finding other little things. Like sometimes there'll be an odd comment someone will leave, and I'm like, I want to look into that because that actually sounds really interesting. And then I'll be like, oh, I want to write a story about it. Like I've got a list. Like let me read just like a couple of them out. Where
Yeah.
is it now? Okay, so Zeki Murin, I'm hoping I pronounced that right. He is Turkey's gender bending rock star, and he is super interesting because
Mm,
he never next technically said he was gay, but everyone knew he was gay, so he never felt
mm,
like he had to say anything.
mm-hmm.
And one of the best stories I've heard about him, and there's been like a few documented people who said they saw it at a concert or performance where he was at. There was a crowd of homophobic men who were yelling abuse at him consistently. And he basically came down and basically went, I understand you're mad at me. I understand you don't like me. I will make you a deal. I will perform the rest of my show. And if you don't like what you hear, you can beat me up after the show. And they were all like, hell yeah, we're going to do this.
Yeah.
And at the end of the show, the guys did not beat him up because they had such a good time listening to his music.
That's so cool. So crazy. Wow. That's really cool.
Yeah. And that's just like one of them. And that's again from someone popping me a DM telling me to look into him and then
Mm,
finding so many more interesting things about him because of it.
yeah. Yeah, that's so cool. Um, what like I guess one thing that I'd be curious about, because like we all have our own personal preferences, and what we like, what we don't like. Are there any genres that you've been like, this is really tough for me to get into?
Hmm. Honestly, not really. I feel like this is the thing. I feel like when it comes to genres and things like that, there's always something out there for someone in that genre. It's just trying to find the
Mm,
right way into it. Like I used
mm,
to always be like, oh, I'm not a fan of, like proper punk music. And then I found Japanese jazz punk, and I was like, oh, wait, I actually really like this. And then I
mm,
found more music within the punk genre that I had more of an affection with. I was like, oh, I really do enjoy this. And I think that's the thing when it comes to genres in general. There's always something that you will enjoy in that genre. It's just
mm,
finding what's outside of what you know about it. You
mm.
know, there's people who say, "Oh, I hate pop," but then they will listen to indie pop and have a good feel for it. It's still within
Yeah.
that pop universe, but just a
Yeah.
different shape on that genre.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
why I always say there's always something out there. You just got to do a little bit of digging.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it takes work. Like it's not like it's
Mm.
easy. It's a lot easier just to say like I don't like that genre and then just not like
Yeah,
do it. But like yeah, if you really want to, put the work in to try to figure out, do you actually like this? Like
Mm.
you said, yeah, I'm sure you can find something because there's so much music out there, past and present. I'm sure there's an artist that you're going to resonate with in that type of a genre.
exactly. It could even be an artist you technically don't like, but then you find that one song, you're like, oh, wait, this is still in that genre. Like my friend who said they weren't a fan of Metallica told them to listen to Nothing Else Matters by Metallica.
Hmm.
It's because it's still technically metal, but it's just a different style of it. And as a result, they basically went, "Oh, I actually quite like this," and they got a bit more into like certain Metallica songs as a result of that, because not every Metallica song is that style, and vice versa.
Mm,
And I think, like I said, that's why whenever someone says the words, "Oh, I don't like X, Y, and Z artist or X, Y, and Z," genre, I'm like, "Nah, you have a little look. You'll find something that you will enjoy." However, at the same time, I understand people have jobs. I understand people have lives,
yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
too short to go through and listen to a genre you absolutely hate or just do not like in the hopes of finding one song that maybe expands your taste a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Like it's a lot easier if somebody recommends it, but for you to be like, I don't like this. I should give it a fair go. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
putting that effort in is a lot. It's a lot
yeah,
easier just to go back to what's familiar and what you like anyway and kind of stay in that
exactly.
vein.
Yeah, me
Um,
with Game of Thrones in a nutshell. Watched the first 15 episodes, did not
yeah,
like it. I was like, I've given this enough time now. 15 hours of my life. I'm going to take it off now.
man. Hey, 15 episodes, that's like real commitment. Most people would be like one or two episodes in, I don't like this and then not. But yeah, crazy.
I was told you have to get through like the first half and then it gets better. And I was like, it's not getting better. I do not like this.
Man. Yeah, that's crazy. Wow. Yeah, it's, you gave it a fair shake. So what do you just move on. You move on. um
Exactly.
I would be curious, what are some like maybe genres or different like kind of world music type things that you think people should really have on their radar? I'm sure you're like all of it, but like what are some that you're like, these are really interesting, cool genres of music that, hasn't really hit the West as much.
This one, okay, so this one technically has hit the West,
Okay.
but I just find it really interesting. Uh, Global Beatles music. And what I mean by that is back when the Beatles originally broke out and were like,
Hmm.
Beatlemania was everywhere,
Hmm.
every country in the whole world tried to find their own version of the Beatles.
Yeah,
And over the past month or so, I've been making a playlist dedicated to all of these foreign Beatle fans, like each
that's
one of them.
amazing. Yeah.
And diving into backstories, like
Yeah.
you've got the Polish Beatles, which are Sezon Gitary, which basically just means red guitar.
Hmm.
You've got Thor's Hammer, which is the Icelandic Beatles, and so many others. I'm like, people need to just look into it because it's so interesting hearing it from a new country
Hmm.
and how the
Yeah.
Beatles sort of like got into that. So that's something I would encourage. Just like look up other countries' version of the Beatles, just
Yeah,
for a
that's so
pure
cool.
interest standpoint.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Is the music like very, very similar to the Beatles, or is there like some that's
Ridiculously,
yeah.
like it's so insanely close. A lot of them they do have
Hmm.
like little hints and little changes here and there, but the vast majority you listen to be like, if someone told me this was the Beatles singing in Italian, I would believe you.
Mm, that's so cool. That's crazy. Yeah, definitely have to check that out. That's really cool. Are there any other like world music genres out there that you're like, keep your eyes on this?
Um, well, I'm going to say Japanese jazz punk. It is
Mm,
such an absurd genre. It's not like a huge genre. It's got a very small underground scene, but it just is so absurd. Like jazz and punk, people don't sit there and go, "Oh yeah, they're perfect match," but it kind of works in a way because they're both
mm,
born out of like rebellion in a way. With jazz
yeah.
going against the usual conventions of being more of a free flowing state, punk was fighting back against oppression and things like that.
Mhm,
They both work really well together in such an absurd way, and Japan has made it work really well in some of them. Like it's weird, it's over the top, but it's really fun and interesting to listen to. Not for
yeah.
everyone, I will say, but definitely listen to it. And one thing that I think is technically, it's not technically a genre, but it's really interesting, is traditional meets modern. It's not technically a genre,
Mm,
but the way people these days are taking the traditions from their country and applying it to more modern
mm,
sounds. So, for example,
yeah.
Portugal, you've got Ana Lua Caiano. In Spain, you've got El Nido. In as well as Rosalia, obviously.
Mhm,
In Italy, you have La Nina, and all these other ones which take tradition but just bring it into the modern era to introduce more people to that sound. And I find that
mhm,
so interesting. And I love it.
mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I was just talking to, I guess it wasn't just, but, maybe a couple months ago, I was talking to, somebody in, Ireland. Joe Donnelly is his name, and he was just talking about how there's a lot of traditional Celtic music that like artists are taking this traditional Celtic music and those sounds, and they're trying to modernize it, make it so that it's more appealing. Yeah, and I think that's really cool. I think that that's like something that's missing. You're taking the past and you're trying to, yeah, I guess maybe marry it to the present
Hmm.
in a really cool way.
Yeah, Ireland's a cracking example as well because you've got some people say they are and some people say they aren't. But like Kingfishers, for example,
Mhm,
they are sort of like bringing sort of like old Irish traditional folk into the modern era, as well as Amble, who Amble are one of those acts I need to see live because
mhm.
they look so insanely good and they do a similar thing. But
Yeah.
it's so, like I said, it's interesting, that type of thing. I love it.
for I don't know, for whatever reason, my like TikTok feed has just been full of Amble clips, like just constant. Like I don't know if they're just like on a real big marketing kick, or if I just watched a few videos and TikTok was like, here, have all of this. But yeah, a band that that's been on my radar, and I've been like, this would be so cool to see.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. Do you think that there's going to be any kind of world music is the only blanket statement I can say. I need to find a different word for it. But do you think there's any of these genres that are going to break in like kind of US, UK soon? Like, because we've seen this phenomenon with like K-pop. Like K-pop is just
Mm.
massive, massive, right? Um, do you think that there's going to be anything like that happening soon with another genre?
It's really hard to say because the reason why a lot of these genres don't make it over to Western soil is because it is drenched in their own culture and their
Mm,
own style. And for it to become something that works in the West, they have to water it down. Like the
yeah.
reason K-pop works really well in terms of the US and UK in general is because it takes heavily from Western ideals. Like
Mm,
you look at their style, they wear the sounds and everything like that. It's more leaning to Western pop music, but just through a little bit more of a Korean lens.
mhm,
So that's a reason like that kind of had that huge blow up internationally, especially within USA and UK.
mhm,
In terms of ones that I think might, it's really, really difficult to say. It's like I don't think I can really answer that honestly because I don't think it's more of a chance thing. Because right
mhm.
now I'm seeing a lot of like Italo disco coming out with a lot of
Okay.
artists in US and UK leaning more into like the old style. I'm like, okay, that might be something that becomes more and more popular as time goes on because we're seeing a lot more dance acts come out now, like similar to like the style of Daft Punk and
Mm,
elements like that. And I think French house slash Italo disco is probably more likely than other genres. But even then, you don't necessarily need to have the language barrier between it, which makes it
yeah.
more universally appealing, which is
Mhm.
probably why I'd say those two is the best chance at the moment. But they've already broken over to an extent.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I'm pretty sure. Um, yeah, I just saw a video of yours that was like, "This is the Italian Daft Punk." Uh,
Yeah, yeah. Who was that? Um, oh god, it slipped my mind entirely. I know exactly who it is as well. I picture them. I know they're performing on a balcony. They've got a really good sound.
yeah, yeah. It's
Oh, Mind Enterprises. Mind Enterprises. That's the
mm,
name of it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Just and that makes sense. Like you said, there's no language barrier, or at least very minimal.
Mm,
If there is, it doesn't matter because like the whole purpose of that music is to be in clubs and to be dancing to, and like
exactly.
and so that makes a lot of sense that would kind of carry over. um and we've seen a lot of kind of, I guess, maybe westernized genres adapt, like take on some aspects of other, like you think of like in hip hop with like Afro beats and stuff like that, like
Mm,
that's become really popular, and like you're getting this meshing of genres, that can be really cool and really interesting. So I'm sure there's lots of that can happen, but like you said, how do you predict that? It's like really
exactly.
difficult.
Like who would have predicted that this year one of the biggest rap stars would be Hannah Mankind?
Mhm.
Indian rapper. Not many people would have predicted that, and
Yeah.
it can just happen with one good song. That's all it
Yeah.
takes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's so crazy. So crazy. What are some of the things that you find like the most interesting in terms of your content that you're doing? Do you prefer to kind of be in this like music discovery, or do you prefer to be kind of like in this past, like going back and seeing like what has happened in the past?
I think the thing is they both are music discovery in a way.
Yeah,
Like
totally.
listening to what happens in the past is still music discovery, as is what's happening in the present. I find both interesting. What I find really interesting at the moment is diving into the history of certain artists and the stories behind them, like what happened, how did they get to that point, and trying to see
Mhm.
if there's something there. I'm like, oh, I want to talk about that more, or why is this sound a certain thing? Like, um, Yellow Button recently did a video where she talked about oh, I've forgotten his name. He's Japanese guitarist, really good. Tayushi Takanara, I believe is Mayushi. Yeah, Mayushi
That's
Takanara. That's it.
yeah.
She did a video talking about there's a certain sound in it which sounds like one of those whoop whoop things, and she couldn't figure out what it was. Someone found it, and it turns out it's just this cool little drum that going in and out makes this really unique sound.
Mm,
I love finding little things like that, and like that was one of my favorite videos I've seen this year for the sole reason of like that is such a cool thing to know.
yeah.
How did the person figure that out in the first place? But it's really cool, and I love
Yeah.
finding things like that. So
Yeah.
that's probably where I lean more into at the moment.
Really? Okay. Yeah. Do you have any other stories, cool stories that you're like, this was just so cool to figure out or to find out?
Ooh. Oh yeah, the one I always talk about because it interested me so much when I found it, and that is, you know the Christmas song "Carol of the Bells."
Mhm.
Yeah, so that was originally a Ukrainian protest song. So back
Interesting. Okay.
in just after World War I or two, I think it was one. Ukraine wanted to basically showcase their culture to the world as a way of separating from Russia.
Mm,
So they toured around the world with some of their best performers and best musicians to showcase their culture to the world. And at Carnegie Hall, the American composer Peter Wilhowsky, he heard them perform the song called Shredreich, which is Carol of the Bells as we know it
mm,
today. But he was looking specifically for something for his Christmas radio hour. So he took the melody and tune of Shredreich and then applied new lyrics to
mm,
create Carol of the Bells.
mm.
So technically, Ukraine did that to showcase their culture to the world. And every single year, people across the world are listening to Ukrainian culture because of that song.
Wow. That's really
Superly
cool.
interesting.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so unique and cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, and I feel like that happens quite often, right? Where like you kind of steal the melody. Um, I'm thinking of like that New Year's song.
Old Anzine?
Yeah, like, I feel like that's been changed multiple times.
Mm,
I wouldn't know, I'd have to obviously do some research, but, um, like, I feel like I've heard multiple, iterations of that. Not anything as significant as the story you just said, but, like,
mm,
just artists being like, "I love this melody," and, it's like a royalty-free melody at this point, I'm assuming. You probably don't have to,
mm.
like because
Yeah,
it's so
yeah.
old, right? And so you can kind of adapt it. But
Mm,
yeah, it's really interesting, really cool how you can have different cultures living in stuff like that. And like we see that all the time in hip hop music with sampling and stuff like that,
mm.
where they're taking music from wherever, whatever it is,
Yeah.
and they're putting it in. Obviously they alter it and change it and do a whole bunch of things to it, but it's still really cool how you can kind of get that mixing and I guess just like kind of unifying of it.
Mm. Yeah, fully get that. It's like the latest Clips album, they had a sample from an Arabic song. Tyler the
Mm,
Creator had one from, I can't remember the country, I think it was Zimbabwe. No,
mhm,
was that Zambia? One of the two. It was one of the ones beginning with Z.
mm,
He had a sample in one of his songs from Chromacopia from that. There's tons of ways sample culture is like introducing more people to more international music, which I find quite interesting. And I
yeah.
think it's sort of like opening up. Like I recently saw a video of someone on TikTok who basically did videos like thinking I liked hip hop for years when in reality I just really liked Arabic music and then just went through
Mm,
all the samples in Arabic music. So
that's
I think
really
it's like
cool. Yeah.
hip hop is kind of like a gateway for a lot of people in some ways when it comes to that. And
Yeah. Yeah.
pop music's slowly getting there as well.
Hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, and it's not as obvious, I guess, to some degree, whereas like hip hop became like it's almost like it's not a full hip hop album if it doesn't have like a bunch of samples in it, right? Like whereas
Yeah,
pop
yeah.
is like you'll get one here and there,
Mm.
or like the influence is a little more subtle. Like yeah, like this has a little bit of bossa nova in it, like
Yeah, yeah.
or whatever it is. But yeah, it seems to be very blatant in hip hop, and you can trace it. It's not like, oh, this was influenced. You're like, oh, this is a sample from this song, which
Yeah,
is
yeah.
yeah. And then you've got some cool creators out there that are actually like pointing that out. Basically saying like this song and like this is the original sample, and that's really cool.
Fully agree. Fully agree.
Yeah. I would be really interested. I know this is kind of weird because this has gotten like split up into two, but so I don't really know how long we've actually been going. I didn't really pay any attention to the last one.
I think we hit the 20-minute mark. At least that's what it said on my thing. I'm
Okay.
guessing.
So we're around like 40-ish minutes. But I would love to. I don't know if you saw this. I sent this outline over to you a little later. So I don't know if you saw this or not. But with pretty much all my guests, I like to get them to list some must listen albums. So that could be just like your favorite albums. That could just be like albums that you're like, these are really influential. You need to listen to them. So I'd love to hear like 5 or however many you can come up with of must listen albums.
Okay, so number one, I think it's pronounced Giago by Lifafa, who is an Indian singer who the majority of people likely know him from Peter Cat Recording Co. But
Mm,
that song, no, not that song, that album is a huge turning point in the Indian indie scene for me because he
mm,
combined traditional Indian elements with electronic production. And I truly believe like it's been 6 years after its release, and we're already seeing subtle implications within the Indian scene of how this album's kind of impacted them as a whole. And I think in maybe 20 years' time, we're going to see that album looked back on, especially within the Indian scene, as one of the most transformational and biggest albums to impact them. That's what
mm,
I truly believe there.
yeah.
Number two, I'm just going to go with pure pop fun here. El
Okay.
Disco de Carranza by Miranda. I probably butchered that pronunciation. Apologies to any of my Argentinian followers. I do try my best.
Yeah.
But no, Miranda are pop legends for a reason. They are like just pure unadulterated pop fun. Every album they have is so fun. Like if you can't listen to like this one, listen to their compilation album. I know it's sacrilege to say go listen to a compilation album, but
Mm,
if you just want to like hear the vibe and have a fun time,
mm,
the compilation album is fantastic. If you want
yeah.
to listen to an album where it's cohesive with pop and it's just, in my opinion, one of the best pop albums, not only within America, but also in not America, the Americas, but
Mm,
also globally,
mm,
Miranda is the way to go. They are just class.
okay. Yeah. Nice.
But by the way, I forgot to mention, I'm in my head, I'm doing each continent. So I'm doing 5
Hey,
albums, one
I
from
love
each
that.
continent. So we've done Asia, the Americas, Oceania next. A self-titled debut album by Happer, who basically that name is, I think it's pigged in slang for ethnically mixed, because one comes from not New Journey, New Jersey,
Mm,
and the other is from Hawaii. And they created this really lovely sound. And their debut album for me, if it's summertime or you just want to relax and feel really at peace with the world, their music is phenomenal. They've got one song, which I'm not going to attempt to butcher the pronunciation of,
mm,
that opens with them being pure a cappella. And it's these beautiful harmonies rising and flowing and going effortlessly for the first 15 seconds. Then it's just a gentle sound of an ukulele and it goes, it's just so good.
mm.
Like, if you want to listen to Polynesian music and anything from that era, these are the guys for it. It's a 1992 album. Highly recommend it.
Okay. Yeah.
From Africa, this is technically a compilation album, but it's kind of hard to find albums for these guys in general. The Funkies, who the album is called Dancing Time,
Mm,
and how do I describe this? Basically, during the Nigerian Civil War, they were an army band, but after the Nigerian Civil War ended, they decided to sort of like break away from that and start making happy, danceable music to kind of
mm,
uplift people after the troubles that happened in their country. And you listen to the album, it is fun, it is joyous, it's this really funky drive. You just kind of like can't help but dance to it. It's a
mm.
really fun time. And that's what I would recommend from everyone from Africa. It's a bit more obscure, but it's just a fun time. It's on Spotify, it's on YouTube. Give it a listen, more than worth it.
Yeah.
And then from Europe, I'm gonna shout out someone who I've been a real champion of on my page,
Mm-hmm.
Fioresta by La Nina, who she combines Neapolitan traditional music with contemporary and modern influences. It's it's a really phenomenal sound. There's been like debates, I believe, in Italy about it's her music sort of like harming tradition because it takes so much from modernity
Mm,
and the tradition. But for me, it is a phenomenal album. Her voice is immaculate. And the way like her lyrics in some of these songs, you listen to them and you're like, I need to know more. Like she's singing in
mm,
Neapolitan. I went and translated it, and immediately the sound just hits you so much more. And
mm,
I say this openly: if if La Nina was someone who like sang in English, everyone in the world would know her name.
mm.
And I truly mean that because she is that talented. I'm
Yeah.
hoping the world will know her name when she's singing in the Italian language, though, because she
Mm,
recently did something for Milan Fashion Week, performing on the stage during the runway. I think she's phenomenal.
mm.
10 out of 10 artist for me. Truly
Yeah.
impeccable. I hope she blows up and goes global.
Mm. Yeah. Well, I'll have to check.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I'll have to
believe
check
that's
her
all
out.
5. Yeah, that's all 5.
Hey, that's perfect. Um, that's all of those albums and artists I'm not familiar with at all. So I'm definitely gonna have to go out and listen to those. I would also be curious. This is the second kind of question I ask everybody is like, and I say Mount Rushmore because I'm in the US, but basically your five or your four favorite artists.
It's the artist Mount Rushmore. The thing is, I'm sitting there thinking artist Mount Rushmore. I'm not going to pick my favorite artist. I'm going to pick
Okay.
artists who I think have had a big impact
Yeah,
that
that's great.
maybe people don't necessarily know of
Hmm.
outside of, say, like the UK, US, Australia, or English speaking countries.
Hmm.
So, straight away, one who is a legend in India and just like Indian music in general, A.R. Rahman. He is. I'm trying to think of how I describe him to everyone else, but there really isn't a way to describe A.R. Rahman. He creates phenomenal music. The best way of saying it is if you've heard a Bollywood film or a Tollywood or any Indian movie song,
Hmm.
he's had a hand in it in some way, shape, or form. It's highly likely.
Hmm.
He is like he is basically just massive. I can't think of another way to describe him. He's
Hmm.
just a legend. I'm trying to think of someone who I can compare him with for the possibility, and the only way I can think about it is maybe like John Williams for movie scores is
Hmm.
A.R. Rahman in Bollywood, Tollywood, and just the Indian movie industry in general. And
Hmm.
he has had a
Yeah.
huge impact there. And as a result, he's likely had a huge impact on a lot of Desi artists
Hmm.
across the entire world without the majority of people who, are from USA, UK, Australia even knowing.
Yeah.
From Mexico, I'm going to go with Vicente Fernandez.
Mm,
Now, he is a mariachi singer, but he has one of the most powerful voices I think I've ever seen.
mm,
And you talk about when people talk about Mexican music, he's the first person that so many people bring up because of not only his showmanship, his passion for music, but also the way he just performs the song and emotes it. There's this phenomenal video of him walking on stage, singing this song. He's just singing casually as nothing. And then he lowers his mic fully to belt it out.
mm.
You can hear him everywhere. When the mics outside of the stadium are picking him up and the entire audience is hearing him, that's how you know you've got a absolutely powerhouse voice. And
Mm.
like the stories people say, it's like, yes, I met him at a party. Every corner of the room, you could hear him talk because he had that much vocal prowess in the
That's
room.
crazy, yeah. Wow.
He's legendary.
Yeah.
From South Africa, Miriam Makeba. Now, I'm going to try and remember as much as I can because it's been a while since I've properly read up on her. But she fought back against South Africa's government during apartheid and
Mhm,
basically got her citizenship revoked by the country, if memory serves. But that didn't stop her from using her voice to openly protest this. And she had one song called the Click song, which is her singing in, I can't remember the name of the language, but it's got like a lot of clicking sounds to it. And that song got quite popular in Europe and some parts of America
Hmm.
because of like what she was talking about and how she was basically promoting her country's culture as a way of protesting against South
Hmm.
Africa's apartheid government. She just kind of really spoke up against it and was a lot of people's first introduction to more traditional African music in a way, I guess. I may be
Hmm.
entirely wrong there because my brain's going scatterbrain a bit about it, but
Yeah.
she is a proper legend in that sense for me and genuinely incredible artist. People need to look into her more. She has this video clip where she's going through an interview, and I think it's so perfect for the modern era where she
Hmm.
says, the white man think they discover everything. They think they come to the country and go, poof, you existed and nothing happened before that, which is
Hmm.
ridiculous. And I think that quote from her is just like so indicative to a lot of things that are happening right now. Got a lot of
Yeah.
time for her.
Yeah.
And finally, the godmother of electronic music, Delia Derbyshire, who she basically cre- she I don't know how to even describe it, but she used different tones and oscillators and all these different little pieces of equipment that you and I wouldn't expect to create this electronic sound. And if it
Hmm.
wasn't for her, electronic music likely would not be anywhere near where it is today because of the work she did. The best
Hmm.
example I can give is the Doctor Who theme tune. That came out in the 1960s, I want to say. And during that time, there weren't electronic sounds. There weren't a lot of that, EDM music. There wasn't synths. There wasn't anything like that. That wasn't absolutely gigantic.
Hmm.
She used all these different pieces of equipment to create that otherworldly sound into it. And the guy who composed it, I think his name was Ron. When he showed it to her, he didn't expect her to do anything with it because we didn't have the technology. She went above and beyond to create it. And when she played it for him, he went, "Did I write that?" And she replied, "Very nearly."
I love
and
that. I love that.
exactly. And for me, she is a legend because of that.
Hmm.
She deserves so much more accolades than she has got. I believe only recently she got her name put onto the Doctor Who theme as a writer for it because for years her
Hmm.
name was nowhere near it.
Wow.
I think it's
Wow.
recently that happened. But no, I think she needs to be included just for that, what she did there, but
Hmm.
also how it's affected modern music in general. In the same
Hmm.
way, like, if I could add another, it'd be Wendy Carlos because she is of a similar vein to Delia Derbyshire. But Delia Derbyshire just pips it for me, I think.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Um, Man, again, yeah, I just have so much, like, so little knowledge, I guess, of music outside of what we hear mostly, like you said, in Australia, US, Canada, UK.
Yeah, but
Um,
I think that's a lot of people though. Like, I think
yeah.
the thing is, a lot of people have that type of thing, and I'm not. By the way, this isn't me saying everyone should do it because everyone's got
Mhm.
like a taste for it and things like that. But I personally think when it comes to music, if you know you find something interesting, dive into it a little more. If you like, Tyler, for example, when she blew up in
Mhm.
the US and globally with water, I think it was,
Mhm. Yep.
she basically got a lot more people to put their eyes on South Africa's music scene. And that's
Mhm.
why Amapiano is now so much bigger everywhere else because of that. I think
Mhm.
sometimes it's just like you need a little bit of mainstream appeal, and next thing you know, everyone's going to be into it. And I truly believe that it has. Yeah.
Mhm. Um, you're obviously like a wealth of knowledge when it comes to all this stuff. I'd be curious. We've talked about several countries already. I'd be curious about like certain countries that I don't even know anything about their music scene. Um, I wonder if you can enlighten me a little bit. So the first one is like one of the most populated countries ever, China. Like what is coming out of China? Because we hear a lot of like Asian music, but I
Hmm.
think in the Western mind, it's like everything gets lumped into K-pop, even if it's not. And it's kind of frustrating that way. But you've mentioned kind of like Japanese jazz punk. Like
Hmm.
what's something that's interesting coming out of China?
Well, right now, what I find interesting about China is They've got like some rap shows and things like that where you can see some Chinese rappers. It's on YouTube. You can watch like the full thing and the TV
Mhm.
show of it. But it's really interesting watching them perform because I'm going to try and remember as much as I can. I'm not going to name names because I do not believe I could say them properly.
Mhm.
But there was a Chinese rap show, and it's very similar to what you would expect, from a US rap show or a UK rap show in terms of the style of it,
Mhm.
where different artists are coming on rapping to get the audience approval and votes and things like that.
Yeah.
That's what I think China is currently doing really well at, in terms of promoting new artists
Mm.
through reality show in a really unique way. The rapper one's good because it became so big. I believe it had 3 billion people watch it.
Wow.
3 billion watch
That's
this one
crazy.
rap show. And it created so many viral moments. Like,
Mm.
there was one rapper who basically had a go at another one on the show, and they recorded a music video for it. And it was at
Mm.
this random, like, little park area where he's riding on, like, it's like a fitness scooter type thing. And he just goes like, "Oh, Disney, I'm going to turn you to Disney."
Yeah.
And for about a month solid, that park became known as the Chinese Disney World because so many people were queuing up to visit it to record their own videos of them rapping the song in that area.
Wow.
And it became absolutely massive because of that. There's also another show which I know when people think of China, they think of like a really restrictive view. You can't say one thing, you
Mm.
can't say the other, otherwise, the communist government or things like that will come for you.
Mhm.
But there's one show which I think kind of pushes away that narrative to a little bit of an extent, and that is I cannot remember the name of it, but it's a band show. And what they do is they got different underground bands from across China to come and perform. And a lot of
Mm.
these bands go completely against the usual Chinese experience in terms of what people expect from China. They're not
Mm.
like, clean cut. They are a bit different. They've had someone who, like a guy, for example, come on in full makeup, feathery coats, and like go all over the top with it. They've had really gothic bands on it. And it's super fascinating watching it because for you and me, for example, we look at that and just go, oh, yeah, it's just, some bands, things like that. For China, that is a proper outbreak. It's the first time a
Mm.
lot of these bands have been given any form of, sentience on actual TV. They're just kind of
Yeah.
like underground for a reason.
Wow.
And it became such a big hit that the winner of the first season, 2 weeks after the show finished, he sold out an arena that Taylor Swift did a week before.
Wow. That's so
That is just,
crazy.
yeah, just
Wow.
from one. And it's super interesting, that show, because I don't know. I don't have to describe it. Like, that's the one show, if I could remember the name of it, I believe everybody should technically just give a little glance to,
Mm.
because there's some phenomenal performances in it. There's this guy who, there's a round where they get given like a song that you wouldn't expect to be underground that they have to take and transform it into.
Mhm.
This one band got given a teenage girl cheesy pop song that's the opening theme of like a Chinese TV show, and it's just like,
Mhm.
typical bubblegum type thing that
Yeah.
they absolutely despised.
Yeah.
They flipped it on its head entirely because the song is basically going, it's easy growing up, and she's like, oh yeah, it's absolutely easy growing up. They got this older gentleman who's like maybe mid-30s to sing it,
Mm.
and he's singing it. It's like, oh, this is actually kind of sad. But then towards the end, they bring on his son, and the son sings the second part of it. So
Mm.
it's like you got this great juxtaposition, and in the end, they are just having the time of their life on stage, dancing, doing
Yeah.
flips, and having a joy. And it is one of the best TV moments I have ever seen in music
Mm.
reality TV.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah.
Wow. Man. That's so cool. Yeah, I have no idea. Like I had no gauge for what's coming out of there. I'd be curious like what's some stuff coming out of like say like Indonesia.
Ooh, Indonesia. So Indonesia's currently got like a few good pop acts coming out. There's a few girl bands coming out, like um I think it's 99 recordings or something like that. They brought like an Indonesian girl group out called No Nu, I think is their name,
Mhm.
who are really fun joys. They're kind of like, it kind of takes a bit of Indonesian pop and a bit of Western pop and puts it together in a real nice bow. I like that. There's also a couple of small EDM artists at the moment coming from there who've got a bit of potential. Who's name kind of escapes, but right now I'd say for Indonesia, pop is like the main way to go.
Mm,
All their pop music is really, really good. And if
mm,
you look at the charts in Indonesia, every single time you go onto there, they have some phenomenal pop in there. And it's
mhm,
why, like, if you are a pop star in the US, UK, anywhere like that, if you've got a big listening base in Indonesia, it means you are doing something very right
mm.
because they know their pop music really well and they are incredibly loyal about it.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting. I would have had no idea. That's yeah. That's so crazy. Well, I'm not going to take up too much more of your time because we're I don't know. Like I said before, I don't know what we're at right now, but I'm sure we're getting close
Yeah,
to an hour.
I'm having a good time chatting, man. I don't mind. I'll give you
Yeah.
more. I'll give you Kazakhstan.
Hey, do it. Why not?
Oh God. Okay. Okay. So like Kazakhstan is for me probably one of the best countries right now for music in terms of completely overlooked.
Hmm,
Like they've got this one artist called Yin Leek who recently dropped an album. What's it called? I think it's called Bipel or Bipl. I'm not sure if that's how it's pronounced or not. But she just recently dropped an album. It's phenomenal. She does some incredible good stuff in pop. You've also got a few like Q pop, which is Kazakhstani pop boy bands, which are
hmm,
doing well at the moment. You've got the Queen, who is basically the Kazakhstani Dua Lipa.
hmm.
And
Interesting.
I would say like Kazakhstan right now, if you want to look at like some people who are just a bit more I don't think difference is even the right word, but if you want to look into something that's got a really cool sound that has
Hmm,
potential to like get really big if the right marketing is put on it to it, and just basically brag to your friends if you know you really want to be like, oh yeah, have you heard this Kazakhstani artist?
yeah.
They would be a good way to go.
Mm,
However, I don't. The thing is, I don't think they'll ever get that global recognition because every time I mention Kazakhstan or artists to anyone like that, they immediately just say, "Oh, like from Borat. I didn't even know that was a real country. I thought they
mm.
made it up."
Oh gosh. Oh, people.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's cool. So some really interesting countries to kind of look out for music there. Yeah, I don't know. This has been a great conversation. I have like this has basically been like me going to class because it's like I know nothing. You're just teaching me all of this stuff, and I love it. It's been really interesting. I really appreciate you taking some time out of your day to talk music with me, and yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
yeah. Happy to do so, man. I had a good time about it.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I like I said, I won't keep any more of your time, but for anybody that isn't following you, which I'm sure they all are, but A1234, you're on Instagram, TikTok. I don't know if you're on YouTube or not as well, but
Yeah, I'm on YouTube. I'm currently you'll see a fair few shorts out there, and I am currently working on some video essays in the future. Currently
that's awesome.
looking into the birth of the K-pop light stick. Really interesting
Oh,
stuff.
nice. That's amazing. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, some long form content coming out, which I think that would be so interesting. So yeah, check Jakk out there. And yeah, for everybody else that's listening and gonna tune in next week, yeah, don't forget we've got a new guest coming on, and we'd love to have you for another week.